Hey guys, Insane here, back with a tutorial on how to be better than Caine. I know, it sounds impossible, but trust me on this. After this, your sounds are going to be so professional, your peep kicks are going to be on point. Let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find a Caine song to improve on. It's not that difficult, but I found one, this one, Hype Beast. I don't know what this is meant to be, Hype Beast L, but you know what? Don't question him. He's just an artist in the making, you know, he's got the mind. So what you're going to want to do is listen to this Gabba track just as many times as you can, get it in your head, get what it's about in your head, and just really feel the essence of what Caine was thinking when putting forward this masterpiece, and just get in this correct mindset to be making some incredible progressive house. So the first and most obvious thing about this track is the vocal, which is incredibly just, I don't know how to describe it. It just hits you in the heart. It's a really feel-good track. That sorry, let me just take a sip of my tea here. Right, like I was saying, it's a very good feel-good track. The vocal has a lot of meaning, so we need to put that emotion forward. I'm a fucking hype beast. I'm a fucking hype beast. Yeah, okay. I think that sounds the best. Right, so now that we have the vocal recorded and definitely listened back to, we need to go into the project of FL Studio, which is the most professional DAW on the market right now. And we need to start setting everything up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that it's the correct tempo. I find that the best tempo for just about everything is 400 BPM. It leaves room for the little details, but it also has that drive about it. Now the next most important thing about your track is the mastering, because without the mastering you basically don't get any sound at all. It's just quiet. You can't hear anything. When you master your track, it's loud, and that's what matters. You really want it to be loud. So for this we're going to use some really professional mastering techniques that take a lot of skill and a lot of time to do. And there you go, it's mastered. Just for safety, sometimes you want to add a sound goodizer, and usually crank that up to just max, just because it really does just heighten the experience and just give it a bit more oomph. And of course louder is better, so all the way now that all that boring stuff is out the way, we can get really into the meat of the track, and we're going to start as we did before with the vocals, which are I'm a hype beast. Right, once we've dragged the vocals on, let's trim them and make sure that they time up with the music. Okay, now that we have the vocals synced up with the tempo of the track, it's time to start adding some effects. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is an EQ, and usually the best way to start with this is a low cut. So just bring a low cut in just to get rid of some of the muddy frequencies down there. We don't want them interfering with any of the good bass sounds we're going to have. Obviously a sound goodizer is always welcome, and just a bit of distortion to add that crunchiness that we want. Now let's take a listen to how it sounds. Nice, crisp, crunchy, and you can easily make out what I'm saying. Way better than Caine's track. Whatever he did with that vocal, you just can't make out what he's saying. I mean, I know the title is Hype Beast, but you know, if he didn't say that, I have no clue what he would be saying. So now that we have the vocal done, it's time to add a bass line. And a lot of people just go with keys and scales, all that kind of thing. And I've just thought to myself, we don't need that. So I usually just start by doing whatever the hell I want. And that is F. And then we're going to go to C. And then we're going to go to F, and we're going to go to C, and I think this just really gives a lot of emotion. Yes, I think that's perfect. So now that we've got the bass line, we need to select a bass sound, And the best way to do that is by selecting it from a list of preset, because that gets you the most professional sound. I'm going with Cerebrasaur because it is incredibly progressive house-y, and it just really gives a nice vibe to this track. Now that's good, but we have a lot of high end going on there, so what we can do to remedy that is add some distortion and then a low cut. Right, so now that all of those high frequencies are out the way, we can start moving to the melody. Now the best thing to do for a progressive house melody is to choose a really massive supersaw with some slightly trumpety sounds in there and then distort it. So we're going to start with this. It's good on its own, but it's a little bit dry. So what we want to do is just add a simple low cut, and then we're going to want to add some reverb. Now again, the best way to achieve a professional sound like Caine is to just use a preset. And I'm going to go for the Venue because I think it's the most progressive housey. Perfect. Let's see what we've got so far. That's alright, but the mixing needs work. We can work on that later. Now it's time to start filling things out a little bit and adding a few effects to make things just feel a bit more rich. I've now taken the liberty of adding a few effects and some instruments that definitely aren't from loops. Everything you see here was crafted by hand, by me, and nothing here is a loop. So let's listen to what we have so far. Just after listening to that, I think I might cry. It's just so... I can feel the emotions that Caine was feeling upon making this track. All of his pain and his anger and his suffering coming out into this all at once. Just beautiful, beautiful work. Now that we have the intro done, it's time to create a build-up. Now with progressive house, you want your build-up to be long, and, you know, adding little details here and there as it goes up. So that's what we're going to try and do here. So the first step in this is to loop your melody and bass. Then add a simple riser that you definitely made yourself. And just for safety, add some white noise. Then place all of your snares individually and do not use loops. Now that I've walked you through that process, let's listen to the build-up. Perfect. Now for the most important part in progressive house, the drop. So for a drop in progressive house, you're going to want an extremely loud, distorted kick, usually with an extremely high punch, and then an extremely distorted tail. You really just want it to be extremely crunchy, extremely gritty, but also extremely high-pitched and annoying. And I think Caine is really good at bringing that kind of kick through, but I think we can do a little bit better. Your first order of business when creating a kick is to simply open up Edison, tap on the table, and record it. And just like that, perfect. Now from here on in, I completed the drop using those really crunchy but high-pitched kicks we talked about. I also got in some melodic elements with a melody. How about that? This is what we know as a melodic drop for things like, you know, house, hip-hop, indie, and for all these harder styles. I don't know why people call them climaxes. I'm pretty sure that's a sex thing. Bit awkward, but no, it's a melodic drop, so I incorporated that into there as well. And a little bit of an outro, just to, you know, spark a bit of emotion right at the end. Not that the drop itself doesn't have emotion in it, obviously. So what I'm going to do now is simply play our remix, or our version, which is clearly superior, of Caine's Hype Beast.